This is 3.1 solving quadratic equations by taking square roots, part 2 to the video. The product property of square roots says that the square root of a product equals the product of the square roots of the factors. So what this is saying is if we have the square root of a, b, that's the same as saying the square root of a times the square root of b. So here we could say that 12 is 4 times 3, which we could then say the square root of 4 times the square root of 3. And we know the square root of 4 is 2, and then times it by the square root of 3. So that would be the simplified version of the square root of 12. And that's review. If you need more help on that, just ask. The quotient property of square roots looks like this. If you take the square root of a division problem, then it is allowed to break into the square root of a over the square root of b. Each square root is its own entity. Now the problem is you can't leave a radical on the bottom. So when we have that situation, we rationalize, which means we multiply by that square root on the top and bottom. Whenever you multiply like square roots, it goes away, the square root sign goes away, and you have one number that is within the square root. And then on the top here, you would have this. If we use numbers, that becomes the square root of 7 over the square root of 9. The square root of 7 stays. The square root of 9 is 3. We no longer have a radical on the bottom, so we are complete. So here's an example. Negative 3x squared plus 25 equals 0. We're trying to get x by itself, so we have to subtract 25. Notice we have the negative. And this over here became 3x squared, negative 3x squared, because that canceled out. Now we're going to divide by negative 3. So x squared equals positive 25 over 3. And then we would have to take the square root of each side. So the square root of x squared is x times x, which is x. And that equals the square root of 25 over the square root of 3. Well, the square root of 25 we know is 5, but we're going to have to rationalize the denominator, which means we're going to multiply by that square root of 3. So on top, we get 5 square root of 3, and on bottom, we either get square root of 9, which is 3, or we remember two things that are alike. So these are outside numbers, so 15 square root of 3 would be the final answer. I don't even remember what we were doing, or if it was just a problem. I think it was just a problem. And now it's time to go do the your turn problems that you were supposed to do from the last lesson.